safe in your bed while your prince floats face down the river. Walls, build your walls, sing your hymns round your Christmas dinners like Papa. Is it safe, baby? Keep on running, baby. Keep on running.
Oh, this is good. Joel Herbert, everybody. Hey, my name's Dan, and I'm with Vote Common Good. We're gonna get this started with a little protest song from the 60s, and if you know it, feel free to sing along. And, yeah, play along with me. And sing some harmonies. If you're just coming in, find a seat, grab a drink. Feel free, though, to get up and move around during the whole event. Make yourselves at home. There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I've got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 10,000 people in the streets, singing songs and carrying signs. They mostly say hooray for our side. Think about it, stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Paranoia strikes deep. Into your life it will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man comes and take you away. Think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. All right. Well, how's everybody doing? Man, thank you so much for coming out. Again, my name is Dan, and I'm with Vote Common Good. And we're traveling the country in a big bus. Maybe you see our two buses out there that say Faith, Hope, and Love, supporting democracy for all. And tonight we're focused on an immigration issue that is near and dear to our hearts and is a hot button issue, whether you've been paying attention or not. You probably heard talk about what's going on at the southern border. A lot of crazy talk and some fear-based talk. And we're here to cut through some of the sound bites, cut through some of the misinformation, and try to get at the heart of the issue, find some common good solutions to it. And so in our work, we wanted to get up close and personal with the issue. And so we decided to ride bicycles along the entire southern border from St. Augustine, Florida, all the way to San Diego. So, yeah. Now, I didn't personally ride the whole thing. Our executive director, Doug, who you'll meet in a little bit, rode all 3,700 miles of that in 67 days. Believe it or not, I did 500 of those miles, and so this dad bod survived somehow on a bicycle for that long. But we wanted to get up close. We wanted to feel the dust in our face. We wanted to feel the heat. We wanted to meet the people where they were at. And so we got real close. We were at both sides of the border, zigzagging along the border. And we wanted to tell the stories of those we met and dispel some of the maybe misinformation we've heard on the news. And we wanted to answer some of the questions that we hear most commonly. So maybe you, when you're talking with friends about immigration, people coming into this country, you'll hear the complaint, why don't they just come here legally? So that's one of the big questions we want to tackle tonight. And we're going to do it through a series of short talks, film clips from our bike ride and from the news and that sort of thing, and a few songs, because we want to, it's a heavy topic. We want to have some fun with it and, share some music as well. But this main question, why don't they come here the right way? You've probably heard this, and so we're going to get into our first film clip that sort of sets the tone for the night. You'll meet some of the people we met along the way. But first up, you're going to meet the God's Army trucker convoy. I don't know if any of you heard about this in the news. Happened just recently. But we heard about this God's Army trucker convoy that was going to the southern border to Eagle Pass, Texas, to stop the invasion. And so we went down there as well and tried to provide a positive Christian witness when what we saw was a lot of maybe lies and hatred toward our brothers and sisters coming across the border. And so we'll set the tone with this.
Because we don't have any time left, folks. We may not make it to November, folks.
That's right. Amen. Because we have here on the southwest border, every enemy of significance against the United States is massing on our border. It's pure evil down there. On the other side of the border, we have people that worship Satan, Santa Muerte. They have idols all over our country hidden. We're in full, total spectrum warfare almost. Too many people think it's a Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island welcoming the new poor huddled masses to America. The Alamo is in my district. Texas is America's Alamo. We have to hold the line right here.
So, you have a home, right? You have a fence around your home. You have a door, right, that locks at night. We have a door here that allows people to come in so that we can, keep our home safe, right? You don't let anybody into your home without shaking their hand at the door and saying, hello, who are you? And, that's all we ask them to do, is to say, hello, I'm here. I want to be a part of your country. I want to be a part of this. I want to do it the right way.
This is so stupid. People will say that. But how do you expect a peasant from Chiapas who don't have the means to apply for a passport, for a visa, and wait years and years, then they get a letter that's saying that you have not been accepted to come into this country? So there's no way, there's no legal way to come here unless you have money and connections. If you had that opportunity, you wouldn't be crossing the desert, risking your life to become an outsider in a land that doesn't really want you.
Why don't they come to this country legally? This is the question that we've been asked all along this journey. And this is the question that we've been asking.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I'm just heartbroken for those guys, just thinking about what their day, their next week, their family, like just what that means for these guys, you know?
And what they've been through to get to that point.
To get to that.
They demonize these people. They, now they are the bad people who come here to rape and to kill and to do all of those things that, So now some people are afraid of this population coming here. But for the most part, all they want is an opportunity to have a job and to be able to send your kids to school and to put them to sleep without being hungry, Very simple things.
I don't know if you caught that, but he said if they had the opportunity, they wouldn't be risking it all to come here. And when they decide to come here, why don't they come here the right way? I thought we could do a little quick fire, like some almost trivia, so you can come along with us. What are the chances of obtaining a diversity visa? This is one of the many types of visas that we in the USA offer immigrants who want to come to the U.S. legally. What do you think the chances are? If you put in your application, what are the odds that you get accepted and get your visa? Any ideas? The total number of entries in 2021 was over 11.8 million. The chances of winning the lottery are 0.24% to 0.47%, depending on the year. So it's really like winning the lottery to get a visa. Now, what about work visas? The U.S. grants around 140,000 work visas per year. That's cool. Right now, there's a backlog of over 1.6 million applications. And so you have people who are trying to do it the right way. They put in their application, but there's a backlog. Why don't they just apply for citizenship? The current backlog of immigration cases, this is all types of visas, 24 million. So when people say, why don't they just wait in line? The line is 24 million people long. And if cartels are threatening the lives of your family, you might not have that time to waste. Why don't they come here the right way? Applying for asylum is the right way. We want to make the distinction about people who are applying for work visas, people who are just skipping the border and coming here undocumented, people who are overstaying their visas. They've got a work visa for 6 months or whatever. They decide to overstay because that's a better option than returning home to a cartel that wants them dead. And then asylum seekers. You've probably heard a lot about asylum seekers lately in the news because specifically Haitian asylum seekers were accused of eating the pets in the town where they reside. And they're often lumped in with the derogatory term illegal. Asylum seekers are not here illegally. Asylum is the right way to come here. It's the legal process to come here. But we've made it nearly impossible to apply. So to apply for asylum, you have to step foot on U.S. soil. Makes sense, right? Maybe you've seen the old movies where like a chess master from Russia decides to defect and apply for asylum. As soon as he lands on U.S. soil, he can claim asylum. It's the same today. You have to step foot on U.S. soil to apply for asylum. But we prevent people from touching U.S. soil. So this is Eagle Pass, Texas. You can see the United States on one side, Mexico on the other, and you see that long bridge that connects them. Over on the Eagle Pass side, at the end of this long bridge, is a border point of entry. It's a border checkpoint. That's where, if you're coming across, you would present your passport, your visa, your green card, or apply for asylum. But because we didn't want so many people applying for asylum, we actually went over to the Mexico side. and we put up walls and barricades on the Mexico side so that people trying to claim asylum could not touch U.S. soil to do it the right way. And so what you saw instead were people crossing the river, quote, illegally, and then presenting themselves to Border Patrol agents and applying for asylum. And so you heard all this talk about a migrant wave, an invasion. These were people who were denied the legal way to apply for asylum. And so they went across and presented themselves to Border Patrol agents, turned themselves in to apply for asylum. But then our policies send them back to Mexico. That's the return to Mexico or stay in Mexico policy that was initiated in the Trump administration and continued by the Biden administration. So in our work, we have a problem with all the administration's approach to immigration. Asylum seekers must cross the river, turn themselves into Border Patrol, and request asylum. Now to get just into the misinformation and slander a little bit, a few more facts, and then we're going to get back into some videos and hear some real human stories. But what about all the drugs? That's the next thing you hear, right? Like, they're bringing so many drugs, the invasion of drug cartels. What percentage of convicted drug traffickers are illegal immigrants? Anyone want to guess? 86.3% of convicted fentanyl drug traffickers were U.S. citizens. So mostly it's U.S. citizens doing the drug trafficking. Over 90% of fentanyl seizures occur at legal crossing points, not illegal migrant routes, that's through the desert or over a fence. U.S. citizens, who are subject to less scrutiny when crossing legally, are the best smugglers. So let's do a little thought experiment. If you're a drug cartel and you have a highly valuable product, what is your best avenue for getting that product into the hands of your customers? Are you going to put it in the backpack of a migrant who has to cross a desert and possibly die? Or are you going to put it in a cargo truck and send it across that way? Just 0.02% of the people arrested by Border Patrol for crossing illegally possessed any fentanyl whatsoever. So that's almost no one who is crossing through the desert or over the river or over a wall is carrying fentanyl. These are not drug smugglers. There's people trying to flee cartel violence. They're trying to create a better life for their family. The stats just do not hold up that these are the people bringing the drugs into our country. Undocumented migrants are arrested at less than half the rate of native-born U.S. citizens for violent and drug crimes. I want to let that sink in for a minute because there's some politicians who say they're sending the criminals, they're sending the rapists, they're sending the murderers. Undocumented immigrants are arrested at less than half the rate of native-born. It's almost like if you're here without documentation, you don't want to run in with the law that will deport you. So these people are more likely to follow the law, keep their head down, do their work. But now we want to get into really the heart of the evening, which is telling the stories of real people from our border trip. We met so many families and heard so many stories, and we could share these stories all night long, and we, in fact, put together a full-length documentary to try to tell those stories. But we want to share Maria's story now, and it is just one of many that puts a human face to these stories. You'll hear why Maria left her hometown, why she felt she had no choice, why she was trying to come to the U.S., and the situation that greeted her when she came.
The We the People ride started in San Diego, California, and now these bikers are going to head on over to check out the migrant situation on the other side before they continue along their journey to Jacksonville, Florida.
I keep thinking about all the times that we have crossed into Mexico, how easily we can enter into Mexico. That disparity just haunts me every day that we ride along this border.
tardes. Doug, ¿listo?
And we want to meet the people who are living on both sides of the border.
Y queremos conocer a la gente que vive en los dos lados de la frontera.
And we want to tell the stories of the impact of the policy from the United States on the people who are living on both sides of the border.
Porque queremos escuchar sus historias.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es María. Salí de mi país porque peligro para mí, peligro para mi hijo, y violencias, drogas, violaciones, no hay comidas, secuestradores para mis niños.
¿Cuántos niños tienes?
2,
I have 2 children,
un varón y una hembra.
1 boy and 1 girl.
How old are they?
¿Cuántos años tiene?
Es mi hijo, trae 11 años.
One is 11.
Mi niña dejó 9 años.
And my girl that is back in Guatemala is 9 years old.
So why is your daughter back in Guatemala?
¿Por qué dejaste a tu niña en Guatemala?
Porque no hay dinero, ya no alcanza mi dinero cuando salí. Por ahora se perdió unos 34,000 quetzales. Porque cuando me trae mis 2 hijos, muchos dineros. Sí, es difícil. Me quedo triste. Cuando me dejó mi niña allá en Guatemala, estoy triste. Yo quiero luchar por mis niños. Yo no quiero perder mi vida, mis hijos. No hay dinero, no hay comida. Estoy triste. Ya va 11 años quedó con mis hijos. Ay, estoy luchando por eso. Yo quiero luchar por mi vida, por mis hijos. Gracias.
To God of all breath, we ask for love and care and kindness and goodness to these sweet mothers, sons that we've met today. Changed policy for the United States. And to put it in the words of Jesus, may your kingdom come and your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, because this is not that. So we will say an amen, but it is a paused and broken amen. Because this work is unfinished. Amen.
Hey everyone. My name is Christy, and I live just up the road in Holland, and I've been traveling with Vote Common Good on and off since 2018. When we were down in New Mexico in 2018, we were in a border town, Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I have a little journal entry that Dan asked me to read from our time down there. So this is October 2018. What is this sensation in my chest? Like a waterfall inside me, as if my heart is doing the work of pumping and pushing the blood of all humanity through the veins of my one small body. Last night it was raining hard, but an extraordinary burst of light broke through the drenching darkness that seemed to be smothering Las Cruces, New Mexico. We pulled the Vote Common Good bus into a church parking lot, planning to stay for a couple nights. Everything about this little church we pulled up to said simple, humble, destitute, actually. By the measure of my past church experiences, this place was old, outdated, unkept. Had I not known, I would have assumed it was an abandoned building. I stepped inside and was instantly hit with faint smells of mustiness and mildew. There was no air pumping through grand glossy organ pipes, no fancy chandeliers, no elaborately carved pulpit, no staffed check-in desk, topped with rows of colorful pamphlets advertising first-rate programs. Stained, worn carpet spanned the length of the room. Rough, jagged smears of spackling covered cracks that ran the height and length of the walls. At first glance, I would have given this church a solid D-. It was entirely forgettable, except for its awful qualities. My mind couldn't help comparing this dilapidated excuse of a building with the churches in my hometown in West Michigan. Ours is a community adorned with many multi-million-dollar pristine sanctuaries that dazzle and mesmerize, ornate lines, spotless stained glass windows, and polished pews filled with sparkling people all perfectly trimmed out in their Sunday best. Glossy vehicles and classy hood ornaments fill professionally landscaped parking lots. We never mention our brown-skinned neighbors, don't want anyone to uncomfortably squirm in the pews or feel as if their tie is too tight. Never talk politics, never pray for broken systems, never speak of human rights, never think outside the walls of our own shiny, whitewashed world. Keep us just dead enough inside to keep up the appearance of being alive in the world without letting its grease and grime and gritty complexities get too close. And then the thing happened in that Las Cruces parking lot that would never leave me. A light broke through the thick dark of this stormy night. It was the headlights of another bus pulling into the parking lot, coming to a stop beside ours under a sky dark as pitch. This bus was old and rickety, in desperate need of a paint job. Looked like a junkyard rescue. This awkward excuse of a vehicle was carrying immigrants and refugees, families who had just been reunited after months of trauma and separation in ice cages. I was gawking with curiosity when a group of folks began quickly exiting the church with umbrellas, waving at us to ease out of our bus and come over and help. We ran out into the storm and stood beside them, creating an unbroken corridor of umbrellas between the doors of the bus and the wide open doors of the church. We stood in that storm, hoisting our umbrellas, creating a path of dry ground for families to move through towards safety and sanctuary on the other side. Out of the bus came a stream of limping mothers carrying infants swaddled in blankets, toddlers with large eyes that have already seen too much, children clinging to the hips of their fathers. Strung together in the darkness, we greeted these beautiful, exhausted, terrified bodies, bodies that have dragged heavy crosses through the desert, bodies that have been beaten and bruised and caged and pierced in their sides, bodies whose heads have been pressed with 1,000 crowns of thorns, bodies that bear God's image. Rain was betwixt with tears, their tears, our tears, the tears of the whole universe, spinning, slipping, falling to the ground, mixing with the red mud beneath our feet. This church, this simple, lackluster place, was swarming alive with parishioners, folks who were lifting the crosses from the bruised and bloodied shoulders, removing the thorns and dressing the wounds. This church, this humble little place was a light with people clothing the naked, feeding the hungry, tending to the sick ones. These people were giving God her dignity back. The church ladies served dinner, and we all sat around tables, breaking bread with these refugees, these neighbors, these people now with names.
Excuse me. Can we listen? This is, it's very moving. And at least talk, whisper, and let us listen.
The church ladies served dinner, and we all sat around tables, breaking bread with these refugees, these neighbors, these people now with names and faces and souls and stories that break me. Oh, how the stories break me. Christ have mercy. The next morning, I woke early, around 5 o'clock. I wanted to get a shower in before everyone on the bus and in the church were awake and in line for one. Quietly, I slipped through the church doors and tiptoed inside towards the bathrooms. My breath caught in my throat at the scene of cots and mattresses scattered around in clusters. Nests of soundly sleeping families were curled up in tight little lumps. Toddlers and babies tucked in fetal positions with the soft curves of their mothers wrapped around them. The gentle light of the moon slanted through the cracked and chipped windows, settling like little feathers across everything. I hardly dared to breathe for fear of disturbing the scene. Safety, sanctuary, a literal sanctuary, a living sanctuary, a holy sanctuary, a sacred sanctuary within a sanctuary, an A+, first-class sanctuary, the most beautiful sanctuary my body and soul has ever set foot in. A sanctuary that drew my eyes squarely upon the face of God. The whole scene of this room was lit up with a kind of serenity that unmistakably whispered in my ear that this is the way things are supposed to be, that this is the way churches are supposed to be. God bless the living sanctuaries. God bless the hands and feet that quietly enter the chaos and restore the world. God bless those who serve on bended knees. God bless the tired and the weary. God bless those who light up the night and carry umbrellas into the storm.
Hey friends, my name is Brandon Pfeiffer. I had the privilege of traveling along on most of that bike ride, but not, same as Dan, not biking as much. I did a little bit, I biked a little bit. But I had the joy of driving the entire length of the US-Mexico border just 10 miles at a time. And it was long and tedious and enlightening and incredibly inspiring. One of the things that inspired me the most and that I found the most fascinating was when you see that wall, looking at it from our side, this is what it looks like. This is what you see. And it's amazing in some of those small Mexican towns, on the other side of the wall, there are murals and they have parties. And there's a park that runs along the wall, and there are little games. And it really, it sort of said something, right? That the ones who maybe seem the most boxed in might not be the ones we're keeping out, but the way we're all sort of stuck in here.
Tell me where is the justice?
that we need, and I see now the healing we need. I see now the justice we need is the justice we need. Me and you and me and you and me and
Brandon Pfeiffer, everybody. So sometimes, I grew up in the church, and people of faith, we often pray about things. And there's a saying I heard once that sometimes you have to be the answer to your prayers. When we're praying for the situation at the border, sometimes we are needed in that situation. And to talk a little bit more about the intersection of faith and the border policies, I want to invite my friend Jaime Cervantes to the stage. Would you give him a warm welcome as he comes and shares with us?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jaime Cervantes. I've got a lot of friends here. That's awesome. My name is Jaime Cervantes. I am a pastor here locally. I actually pastor a church in Benton Heights, which is just down the road. And so I just want to thank Dan. Thanks for having me out here tonight. So my name's Jaime. I'm a first-generation immigrant. My parents came to this country in the 70s. I guess not the right way. So my parents came here. They settled in Los Angeles. My parents are from Central Mexico, from a state called Zacatecas, from a small little pueblo called Nochistlán. In fact, they weren't even from the pueblo. They were from the outskirts. This little ranch called La Labor, which means labor. They literally came from a place called labor. They were hard-working people, but they could not get ahead in the place they were in. So they made the very difficult decision of leaving their parents behind, my grandparents, of leaving their siblings behind, of leaving their friends and everything they'd ever known, to walk for months to get here so that I and my sisters would have a better life, so we would have a chance. No running water, none of the things that we have. And so my parents made that decision, and I'm glad they did. If it wasn't for them, I would never have the life that I have. And so I'm grateful to my parents who made that difficult choice so long ago for me. Just a few thoughts that I want to share with you tonight. I struggle with the term illegal. People are not illegal. They are undocumented. They may be undocumented. They may be underdocumented, but human beings are not illegal. And I struggle a lot with some of the rhetoric today that refers to what is a humanitarian crisis, and it's called an invasion. It is not an invasion. Let me tell you why that's so problematic and why it's so important for us to change that narrative. See, an invasion is a military term. People that invade are here to harm you. They typically bring, weapons, and they come with ill intentions. That's an invasion. And here's the biggest part of it is invaders are typically your enemy. And so when you frame it that way, what you are doing is dehumanizing a group of people that are not invaders. It is a humanitarian crisis, period. Period. That's what it is. And so we need to see the humanity in that. To call people killers is to assassinate their character. To call a person a rapist is to literally to violate them and their humanity. To call people criminals is criminal. So we have to change those narratives. We have to be bold in doing so. So I told you I'm a first-generation immigrant kid. I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I want to share something with you. I'm sorry, I cannot help myself. Do we have any Yankees fans here today? I wouldn't say I'm a Yankee fan right about now either, so I don't blame you. It's okay. Let me show you something. But I want you to read it. See, you think it says Dodgers, don't you? What does it say? Doyers. You know why? Because when I was a kid, my dad got to this country when he was 17, and he got a job. He bought his first pair of shoes at 17. Never had a pair of shoes until he was 17. So he gets a pair of shoes, and he becomes a baseball fan, right? And he can't pronounce Dodgers. So he would say Doyers, Los Doyers, okay? Because that's, and so here's what I want you to, some of you have been to Southern California, some of you have been to Los Angeles. Check this out. There's a huge, obviously, Hispanic community there, right? And we say Los Doyers because we can't say Dodgers. And so it's a thing now. So we say Doyers. But what's awesome about growing up in Southern California was the amount of diversity. And as I got older, I started to not feel ashamed that I was the kid in school who didn't speak English when I got there. I started to take pride in the fact that, oh, my heritage is awesome. Like, my culture is amazing, and we are a big part of the community here in Southern California, and we're making this place better. Like, we're part of American fabric, and we're part of, and then you start to learn that there's so many other immigrants that are doing the same, and then you realize that this country was built on immigrants, and diversity is beautiful, and it's the mosaic of God's creation. Like, it's beyond beautiful. As I grew up to realize that, and then you realize that, by the way, we're not going to eat your pets or your dogs or your cats. We'll eat your chickens and your cows, no problem. And by the way, anybody here like Mexican food? Yeah. On behalf of all of us, you're welcome. And so I started to realize that my ethnicity is sacred. It is God-given by my Creator. And speaking of my Creator, I promised Dan, just do the signal and I'll stop. You asked the pastor to come and speak. That's your fault. So here's what I want to say. Aside from being a first-generation immigrant kid of Mexican heritage, I'm also a believer. I'm a Christian. I'm a minister of the gospel. And so as such, I want to take my direction from the person I profess to follow. And so there's the grand old question, right, is what would Jesus do? Well, the good news is I don't have to guess. It's actually, he left me this really huge book with a lot of instructions, and you would be shocked if you open them that they look nothing like what a lot of his followers would tell you they look like. And so, it's the truth. And so, let me share with you what Jesus would do. There's a passage that says, do not take advantage of foreigners. By the way, I've had people that argue with me, well, that's just foreigner, it's not immigrant. Actually, if we want to get technical, the Hebrew word is ger, and it means alien, stranger, foreigner, one who is of a different geographical or cultural group, often with less rights than the native group. One who is forced to leave a nation of origin due to famine, pestilence, military invasion, to live somewhere else. It's an immigrant. Anyway. With that in mind, do not take advantage of immigrants who live among you in your land. Treat them as native born and love them as you love yourself. That's in the book of Leviticus 33. Chapter 19, 33 and 34, in case you're wondering. That's what Jesus would do. It's another passage in the book of Matthew. Jesus speaking, he says, for I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was an alien. Greek word xeno, which means alien, and you welcome me. Truly, I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these brothers, you did it to me. That's how I'm supposed to treat immigrants. Now, somebody will read this passage, and I you know, and so often they go, well, is an immigrant, well, is he here legally? Is he legal? Right? That's the big question. Are you legal is the new version of who is my neighbor? It's an excuse for me not to treat people. There's none of that in here. None of that. And so, Who is worthy of my help? Everyone. Who is worthy of my love? Everyone. All people bear the image of their Creator. And so we are to treat our neighbors, love my neighbor as I love myself. The things that I desire for myself, I should want for all people. So what would Jesus do? Love God, love others. Love your neighbor as yourself. As I was, I promise I'm going to wrap it up. As I was listening to Maria's story on the screen, that was really moving. One of the things that I've had the privilege of doing since coming to this area is Spanish-speaking immigrants started showing up to this area, right? And so we decided that, well, the pastor here speaks both languages fluently. Why don't we start a service, a church service in Spanish? So we're doing that now. And what's happened is we're seeing this influx of immigrant families coming. And I had the privilege of sitting with a few women in their home about 2 months ago maybe. And they're wonderful women, and their names are Paola and Genesis, and they came to the church and they wanted to connect, and so I went to go visit them. They walked 4 months to get here through awful conditions. And while I was there talking with them, they were FaceTiming with their children in Colombia. And I was just watching these women just tears pouring out of their eyes as their kids are showing them their homework and all this and that. And the reason, and when they hung up, they turned around and they said, the reason we came here is so that we could pay the tuition so our kids could study and have a chance one day. But we're heartbroken that we can't be with them. So a couple of things, right? Some of us think, how can someone leave their children behind? Why would somebody leave everything behind to come to a place that's hostile toward them? Great question. And good questions deserve good answers. And the answer is, can you imagine the conditions back home for one of us? You know what the answer is? I'll just do I'll give you one word. Hunger. When you lack, you will do whatever it takes. You will leave a small little ranch in a small little pueblo in central Mexico and walk for months and leave your parents behind, not knowing if you'll ever see them, just to give your kid a chance at a better life. Love God and love your neighbor as you love yourself. Who is your neighbor? Everybody. Thanks for listening.
We realized there was a problem here on September 17th a year ago. We came to visit to look for migrants, and we found the town just full of migrants. And we went, whoa, what is going on? We found out they were getting like 150 people deported here a day.
Ay, lo siento mucho, hijo. Y vamos a curarle sus pies, ¿ok? Enróllese sus pantalones. Solo métalo un ratito en el agua, ¿ok? Que Dios le bendiga, hijo. Por lo menos vino aquí para que nosotros le demos una manita, oye. Lo siento mucho, de verdad.
6 días en el desierto.
Qué horrible, hijo, por Dios, qué horrible.
I'm from El Salvador. I was only 19 years old when the war in my country, the Civil War, was in the beginning in 1979. In my country, at that time, we had the orejas, the people who would just look around, tell the government who they were suspicious, and the mano blanca, the white hen, it was criminal. They would have just go and knock your door or tear the door down, get you out, and then your family would never see you again alive. Well, we were lost the very first night. First of all, none of us had enough water that we needed. We didn't know, we knew it was terribly hot, but we didn't know distances. We didn't know the terrain. We didn't know cactuses. We didn't know anything. We keep doing the same routine, you know, for 4 days. Walk a little bit in the morning, hide under the bushes during the day. At night, if we could, we walk a little bit. But it was just killing us. And all you can remember is this line of us walking in the desert.
How many were there?
26 of us. After the fourth day, two of the people that was coming with me, a man and a woman, were able to made it to the road, and they were arrested by Border Patrol. So when they heard the news, the whole town mobilized. I just remember opening my eyes to the arms of a Border Patrol, screaming to me, "Don't die, don't die, don't fall asleep, don't go to sleep." And all I can remember is asking for water, and he was just putting a little water in my lips because we were so dehydrated, and then put an IV in my arm, and they rescued us. 13 survived and 13 died. As you can see, it's still hard for me to tell my story without choking and revive every emotion. But in the past 4 or 5 years, I decided to break that silence due to the fact that it hurt when we were called rapists. It hurt when we were called nothing but, you know, people from shitholes. And I wanted the world to know who I am, what I went through, and what I'm doing, and what we're capable of doing. ¿Te alegró? La notita. Una niñita de 14 años escribió eso.
Querido amigo, hola. Mi nombre es Katy. Soy estudiante en los Estados Unidos y tengo 14 años. Entiendo que tu vida...
Lo siento mucho. Muy linda. Que tu vida vale mucho, ¿verdad? Y la vida después puede incluir desafíos y luchas, dice. Encuentra salud y felicidad y éxito. Espero que tu viaje sea seguro por ayudar e incluido una donación para que en cualquiera de tus necesidades. Te deseo suerte. Con amor, Katy. Una niña de 14 años. Okay? This is beautiful. This is what these kids did. It's beautiful.
The 40 years ago story that you're telling it was a big news story that people died in the desert. But in the last 10 years, thousands of people have died in the desert. Deaths have only increased. They haven't decreased because of the deterrence.
And it's still presently doing this. So it has not changed anything. The only thing it has done is kill more people. Migration is never going to stop. In just the month of June alone, we had 246 deaths in our deserts, just in 1 month. Usted entró aquí por Sázabe, ¿verdad? ¿O entró por altar?
Por altar. Todos son muertos.
Todos. The Deterrence just kill people. It's inhumane. It's horrible what our people's going through. And nothing really has changed.
Okay, gracias.
Dios me lo bendiga, hermano.
Está igual. Él es mi hijo.
folks. My name is Rob Ryerson. I'm the political director of Vote Common Good, also a pastor from Fayetteville, Arkansas. On April 4th, 2004, 133 miles from here, a 5-pound, 2-ounce baby girl was born in Carson City, Michigan. Her mom is a Cuban American. Her dad, a migrant worker from Mexico, who would travel around the state of Michigan, going to various farms where he could pick fruits and vegetables and make a living. 3.5 months after that 5-pound, 2-ounce baby girl was born, she entered the Michigan foster care system. And that very same day, she entered my family. My wife and I grew up in conservative Christian homes, in conservative Christian schools, in conservative Christian churches. And we were told over and over and over again that adoption is a better alternative than abortion. And when we were told that, we believed them. We were taught in our conservative Christian homes and schools and churches, we were told that we ought to read the Bible and take it seriously, take it literally even. So when we read verses like the pastor read a couple of minutes ago about how we ought to welcome strangers, we believed it and took it seriously, took it literally. When we were taught that we were supposed to open up our whole lives to people in need, we believed it. And so we went through a process where we became licensed foster parents. And then one Wednesday afternoon, while I was at the church office, my phone rang, and my wife said, "So, do you want to have a baby?" And I replied, "I can be home in 10 minutes. I don't know what you're asking me here." Yeah, that's right. She said, foster care system just called, and there's a 3.5-month girl that they want to place with us. They think it will be a long-term placement. We have an hour to decide. We went that afternoon and picked her up. And we decided that we were going to love her for as long as we had her. That was 20 years ago. We still love her. You know, you will hear politicians talk about how if we welcome people into our country, we might be introducing danger and demons. But when I read the Bible, I read how if we welcome people into our homes, into our lives, we might be entertaining angels. My family has been entertaining an angel for 20 years. And I cannot imagine life without her. I tell you my story because there is a whole generation of people who grew up in conservative Christian homes and churches and schools who believed what we were taught and decided to take it seriously, and we welcomed babies and young people from all over the world into our families, and it changed us. We learned that we were not the white saviors who were going to fix the problems of these kids. What we learned is that these kids were the ones who were going to save us. And they have. I'm the political director of Vote Common Good, so I'm going to talk a little politics now. I hope that's okay. In our work, one of the reasons we talk about immigration so much, one of the reasons why we took this bike ride from San Diego to St. Augustine and make a documentary about it, one of the reasons this is such an important issue to us is because if there is one issue where conservative and or Christian evangelicals are out of step with Republican leadership, it's on the issue of immigration. Because there are families like mine sitting in churches every Sunday that they don't want to chant "Build the Wall" because their lives have been changed because they welcomed a stranger into their family. And so we know that while there's certainly, according to our estimations, there's 5 to 15% of white evangelical voters that are flippable, which means there's 85 to 95% that aren't. But we don't worry too much about that. We worry a lot about that. We don't. But we think that in a close election, 5 to 15% of white evangelicals, white Catholics, white mainline Christians, the way they over-index in elections, the way they turn out to vote, that if we can flip them, that can make a huge difference. And the issue, more than any other issue, that they are out of step with Republican leadership, it's on the issue of immigration. It's this issue. Because they were taught to love their neighbor, and they do it. And they're flippable. So maybe you say, how? How can we flip them? Well, I'm going to give you a tool. I'm going to give you a sentence you can say. Because one of the things that we've learned is that behavioral change happens before identity change happens. Okay? Like if you were in West Michigan, I don't know, if you're a Lions fan, I don't know, are you Lions fans here? I'm a Browns fan. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. If you're a Lions fan, you're not going to wake up tomorrow and be like, decided to root for the Bears. You're not going to do it. Because identity change doesn't just happen like that. People think of their political alignment as an identity. They think, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm a conservative, I'm a liberal, I'm a progressive, I'm an independent. And it's an identity, and identities are really hard to change. You know what's a lot easier to change? Behavior. How you vote. That's a behavior, not an identity. So here's the thing you can say. I'm not asking you to become a Democrat. I'm asking you to vote for fill in the blank. Kamala Harris in this election. I'm not asking you to become a Democrat. I'm asking you to vote for Kamala Harris in this election. It's a It's a permission structure that allows someone to change their behavior without changing their identity. And what they don't realize is that it's like the little stone hits the windshield on your car, and you get the little chip, and a couple of weeks later, it's a big crack. And so you give them that permission structure to make that change, and a couple of elections from now, their whole ballot's going to be blue up and down. Because behavioral change happens before identity change. So, listen, find those conservative and or Christian people in your life. The ones who have taken seriously the call to love their neighbor, to welcome the stranger. The one whose hearts would be broken when they hear Dora's story or Maria's story. Find them and say to them in the next week, I'm not asking you to become a Democrat. I'm asking you to vote for Kamala Harris in this election. And when you do that, we're going to win some elections. And that's going to hopefully make a big difference at the border and all over the place. Now, it is my real pleasure to introduce to you the Poet Laureate of Vote Common Good, my friend Genesis B.
What they
Thank you. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. I'm listening to the programming and I'm thinking to myself, how privileged am I to have been born here? It's a privilege I forget often. Why am I deserving? I could have been born anywhere. I could be in Gaza right now, fighting for my life and the life of my loved ones. I could be anywhere in the world, under siege, for the places that are under siege. Sometimes when I wrestle with this concept of why was I born here and what am I doing with my privilege and my freedom, I always come back to that. What am I doing with my privilege and my freedom? Am I speaking up for Gaza? Am I speaking up for immigrants who are being slandered and called names when people don't even know them on a personal level? Am I standing up for my own community here, black and brown folks suppressed, silenced, being invisible by the mass incarceration system? Am I using my privilege and my freedom to stand for those who are constantly being knocked down? Speak up for those who are being silenced. And I feel like my greatest honor in my young life is to say that I do. And I hope you do too. And I know a lot of you do. So thank you for your service. My name is Genesis B. I come from a beautiful state called Mississippi. And it is a beautiful state. I've been all around the world, and nothing beats a Mississippi sunset. You have to see it for yourself. The people are beautiful. My family's beautiful. With all this beauty, Mississippi has a lot of things that we are still trying to overcome and deal with. Generational, historic, systemic racism, misogyny, homophobia. When I was growing up here, I used to think, when I'm navigating these things, I said, I can't wait till I leave. If I leave, everything will be better. It's better outside of here. And then I left. And I realized Mississippi is a microcosm of my nation. Police exoneration and mass incarceration. Black and brown bodies, a commodity. Mothers separated from babies, border policy. It's like the White House is painted in the Klan's ideology, and our leadership is exploiting white poverty. Think about it. Keeping us separate and divided, gay versus straight, white versus black, based off of fear and far from the facts. See, I hail from a state called the mighty Mississippi. My state flag held the stars and bars, praising a brutal history. It flew in front of schools and in my judge's court, sending a clear message to us that our lives are not important. Because my dad was only 5 when the Klan drive-by bust bullets into his house with 6 children inside. On the back of the truck, a Confederate flag flying high, and these are the truths that some choose to deny. See, Mississippi, like America, eats your child and mine. The white supremacists lie is a prison of their own design. Some have forfeited their humanity in order to deny mine. Because supremacy is a lie. Some have accepted it, a Confederate curse they inherited. Bigotry is blinding, and their fear of the other has blocked their own blessings from their sisters and brothers. Outrage, fatigue, I'm screaming, I can't breathe. From the top, it trickles down, from the judges to police. Because the illusion of freedom is far more dangerous than jail cells and cramped cages. I said, the illusion of freedom is far more dangerous than jail cells and cramped cages. Yes, Mississippi is a microcosm of my nation, where cowards replace white sheets with fake avatars, repeating their parents' folklore, tooth fairy, Santa Claus. The history's whitewashed. Google black codes and bylaws. In the comment section, sound off, sound off. Lord, they sound off, don't they? They call me a nigga, a bitch, or a dyke. You call me whatever you like. I've been through worse in this fight, and the hatred in your words just proves that I'm right. Because Mississippi is a microcosm of a country that always needed me but never wanted me. Melanin and skin is a sin? Sentence to build your economy? No. So pack the prisons, fill the quota, make us felons, suppress the voters. Travel bans and deportation, killer cops, no resignations. Just federal indictments and mock trials. You see, my heart bleeds as the billboard reads, make America white again as my favorite rapper concedes. Kanye. Making me question everything that I believe. But still, I love America. I do. Because I have hope. Some choose to jump ship, and some steer the boat. See, I know that love and humanity lives in the smile of every child, in the heart of every kid. So be brave enough to break the curse. We need you at the polls, out in droves, fighting against the bigots you oppose. Study law, run for office, make a call, write your Congress. Use your voice and choose a march. Malcolm's gone, grab the torch. Read a book, write a rap. Just speak with truth and deal with facts, please. Alt-right affiliation of Trump's administration, Confederate infiltration, neo-Nazi showing faces. Just fueling the fear and the hatred while expanding their corporations. Do you see now how Mississippi is a microcosm of my nation? I'm Genesis B, y'all. Thank you. Peace be with you.
Oh, thank you, Genesis. Well, not to bring the mood down, but I'm going to play a clip from this guy. And if you don't recognize this face, this is attorney General Jeff Sessions, and I'm going to let him do a little talking, and then I'm going to pick up the guitar.
I thought I'd take a little bit of digression here to discuss some concerns raised by our church friends about separation of families. Now, I would cite you to the Apostle Paul and his clear and wise command in Romans 13 to obey the laws of the government because God has ordained the government for his purposes. Orderly and lawful processes are good in themselves. Consistent, fair application of law is in itself a good and moral thing, and that protects the weak. It protects the lawful. Our policies that can result in short-term separation of families is not unusual or unjustified.
¿De dónde son ustedes? ¿Y tú?
Guatemala.
No llores. Vas a llegar con... Mira, ella te va a explicar y te va a ayudar. ¿Cierto, Consuelo?
Te va a pasar con su consulado, ¿oye? Papá. Papá. Con mi tía por lo menos para que después llegue mi mami. ¿Me puedes abrir la puerta? ¿Alguien me cerró la puerta esa? Que me venga a traer mi tía para llevarme a la
Ella llama a tu tía si tú tienes número y habla con tu tía.
Tengo el número de ella.
Ah, pues ahorita ella te ayuda para que hable. Cálmate nada más.
No, papá.
Voy por aquí, niña.
Papá.
That was the moment that broke my heart. Maybe it was the same for you. It was the moment that the Trump administration put into place their zero tolerance policy that intentionally separated families. And I thought that was the line in the sand that was going to be too far for Christian people. I thought the Christians would rise up and say, enough is enough. This isn't our guy. So I put my frustrations and my feelings into this song. It's called Hymn for the 81%. I grew up in your churches, Sunday morning and evening service. I knelt in tears at the foot of the rugged cross. You taught me every life is sacred. Feed the hungry and clothe the naked. I learned from you the highest law is love. And I believed you when you said I should trust the words in red to guide my steps through a wicked world. I assumed you'd do the same, so imagine my dismay when I watched you lead the sheep straight to the wolves. You said to love the lost, well, I'm loving you now. You said to speak the truth, well, I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice roll down. Oh, they started putting kids in cages, ripping mothers from their babies, and I looked to you to speak on their behalf. Oh, but all I heard was silence, or worse, you justified it, singing glory, hallelujah, raise the flag. See, your fear it turned to hatred, but you baptized it with language torn from the pages of the good book. You weaponize religion
and you wonder why I'm leaving to find Jesus on the wrong side of your walls. You said to love the lost, well, I'm loving you now. You said to speak the truth, well, I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice roll down. Come home, come home. You're better than this. Oh, you taught me better than this. Come home, come home. You're better than this. Oh, you taught me better than this. Come home, come home. Oh. Maybe I was too naive, or I just didn't want to see that there's always been a little poison in the well. Our churches sit on stolen land, a nation built by stolen hands, and we use the Bible to justify it all. Yeah, from slavery and segregation to mass deportation. This is who we are, but not who we have to be. There's a lot of work to do to pull up the evil by the roots, but repentance has to come before there's peace. And you said to love the lost, I'm trying to love you now. You said to speak the truth, that's why I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice rule down. May love overcome and justice rule down. Justice roll down. May love overcome and justice roll down. Hey, thank you all so much.
Hey, y'all. Yes, sir. Say it.
This is so moving to me. This is the first time that I am convinced that Kamala is going to be elected. I have a tape that I play in my car all the time. How many roads does a man walk down before you can call him a man? I ran into students of mine here. I'm 85. I was at the March on Washington when Dr. King gave his speech. And I have never been as moved as I have been hearing these young men. And the boys know. When we were marching, Ted DeHoover was still in control of the FBI and had convinced the Kennedys that there were going to be massive disturbances with all those people. And so all police leaves were canceled. They brought in extra police from the area around D.C., and the military bases around D.C. were prepared to take in tens of thousands. They had porta potties set up because there were about 700,000 people there. And when we were singing, "We shall overcome, black and white together," we weren't thinking of ourselves as black or white or old or young or Latino or Asian or Native American. We were just Americans. There was not one arrest. There was not one instance of this church. And I tell you, this is it right here. I was trying to tell my wife I didn't see how I could stay in this country if somebody who spews such hatred is elected. But now I know it's going to be America.
Hey, y'all. My name is Doug Padgett. I'm with Vote Common Good. We travel the country. I know how to follow Genesis B. I know how to follow Dan. I don't know how to follow Harold. Harold, thank you for that. Harold, if you're available tomorrow at 5:30, all of you, if you're available tomorrow at 5:30, we've got a rally sort of like this, but about that happening over in Holland. If you'd make a little trip. Somebody wants to be vice president, decided he was going to infect Holland today, and we're going to go for a little cleanup project tomorrow. So at Holland at the Centennial Park, we're going to be there at 5:30. Genesis B is going to talk. Dan is going to sing. Speakers are going to be there. The press will be there. Because when we remind them that people of good conscience don't want what's happening at our border, don't want the only stories that we've been told over these last years, they want to tell a better story, and we want to live a better story. So think about joining us tomorrow if you could. We'd love to have you. Anybody happen to see a little ad with Julia Roberts in it? The voting booth ad. You see the voting booth ad yet? Yeah. Start looking around for the voting booth ad with Julia Roberts. It's a little treat we've got for you. So, when you got a little time to go home and Google a little bit, just Google Julia Roberts, Vote Common Good, and see what comes up. You might enjoy it a lot tomorrow. Now, she's not going to be there tomorrow. I feel like I just made a promise. But her voice might be there tomorrow. So take a look at that. You've got some friends and family members that are going to want to see what's in that ad. We'd love for you to see it. I had the privilege of biking on that biking experience. I rode from San Diego, California to St. Augustine, Florida. All those miles. It was remarkable. We started the trip naive about what the experience along the border was, what the experience for migrants was, what it meant to Border Patrol, who are broken-heartedly having to enforce broken immigration laws. We didn't know what it would mean for asylum seekers or those who work with them on both sides of the border. We started out naive. And we rode 3,267 miles across this country and met with so many people. I've made a documentary about it, some of which you've seen tonight. We finished the ride more naive than when we began. Because the situation is extremely complicated. I'm a big believer that there are some problems in the world, and when there's problems, you fix them. But I'm also a big believer that there's some things that aren't problems, they're predicaments. They're grand dramas. They're dilemmas that don't require one fix, they require multiple responses. For all the time of the United States, we've been bad at border policy. So we're in a predicament, friends, and it's going to take multiple responses. All of us have to come up with a way to make it better. Some of us will adopt children. Some of us will go to the border. If you don't know how to go to the border, you're not sure even what you would do if you went to the border, you don't know how to go meet Maria, you're not sure how you end up in a place where you find Dora, come with us. We do trips to the border. We'd love to take you. Go over to that table, see Beth over there, put your name on the email list. We'll let you know the next time we're going. We'd love to take you with us to the border. Maybe you have to become a congressperson. Maybe you have to become an advocate. Maybe you need to go lobby over at Congress and help Congress people understand what's going on at the border. We take Congress people and want to be Congress people to the border with us because they're like all of us. They also don't know. So if you feel like this thing is bigger than you, then just know this is as American as apple pie. We've been struggling with this question from the beginning, and it's our time to do something different about it. And that's not just true about the border. That's why we travel in these buses out there that say faith, hope, and love, supporting democracy for all. Because I don't know if you know this, but a lot of people think faith, hope, and love belongs to the Republican Party. And we love reminding them that nobody owns faith, that nobody owns hope, and we're all included in love. So we like to travel in these two buses and remind people that they can be part of this no matter where they find themselves, because we know that all of us want a more perfect union. And we just want to live better with each other. Now, I happen to believe that the MAGA movement is a real scourge on our particular society right now. And I think that a week from today, we may be seeing some election results that could put an end to that movement. Especially, friends, when people in West Michigan, when religious people in West Michigan say no to that movement. West Michigan flipped from 2016 to 2020, and that's what allowed the state of Michigan to be counted in the Electoral College for a Democrat in the election of 2020. And it needs to happen again. We need every one of those voters to get out there. But it also could go the other way. Because I remember 3:18 in the morning in 2016, on that early Wednesday morning, walking up to my bed and saying to myself, unthinkable, what are we going to do? That could happen too. And either way it happens, we've got to figure out how to live with each other. We're doing everything we can to make sure it's option A. And then we have to figure out how to live with each other. We have to remake the fabric that holds us together. Anybody else like me losing family members and friendships over this stuff that's going on? We need to bring ourselves back together. Some ways, this border conversation is a little microcosm for what's going on in the rest of our country. Little walls being built between us. Big walls that we don't know how to climb. Danger zones that we don't know how to cross. Fear of one another. Because we travel the country, we watch people say to each other all the time, looking at somebody who disagrees with them, I have no idea who that person is or what they think. And sometimes they're talking about a family member. And we have to find a way to immigrate into each other's lives. It can feel like you're moving into a foreign territory, amen? And we have to figure out how to cross those boundaries. We deeply appreciate you being here tonight. If you appreciate what we're up to, you want to be part of it, again, you can see Beth over there. We're just a small little nonprofit doing the best that we can to move around this country. If that's something you want to be part of, there's 4 things that get us around this country: faith, hope, love, and diesel. So if you want to put a little diesel in the tank, we'd love you to make a donation over there, Venmo, cash, check, any of that kind of stuff. After you've tipped your servers, please. After you've tipped your servers. If you want to make a little donation, you can do that over there. And if you don't like putting money into gas tanks to see it all get burned out the back and do things to the environment, we understand that. You can fill the tank of the bus, or you can fill the tanks that we call our stomachs. So that's where that money goes. You can make food or fuel right over there with Beth, if that's something that's meaningful to you. But more importantly, we'd love you to come out and sign that bus, climb on that bus. Come join us tomorrow in Holland. If you get real frisky, maybe you want to come with us over to Springfield, Ohio on Thursday on Halloween, because we need to cheer on some folks in Springfield, Ohio. Then maybe you want to come up to Erie, Pennsylvania with us on Friday. Then maybe you want to go to Pittsburgh with us on Saturday, Harrisburg on Sunday, Hershey, Pennsylvania on Monday, Philadelphia on Tuesday, and then into Washington, D.C. on Tuesday night. So if you want to come, saddle up your horses. That's for you, Joel. Saddle up your horses or your car and come along with us, and we'd love to talk with you about that. Seriously, if you think that's something you want to do, we'd love to have you come along with us. So thanks for being here. And you're going to be taken out by Brandon. Brandon's an Indiana boy. Are we not, Brandon? Is it? Oh, Brandon and his background singer, Dan. This is Brandon. Indiana boy. Thanks, y'all. We really appreciate you being here, and thanks for all that you've been up to.
yeah. Thank you for being here. Thanks for taking time out of your night and sharing with us, and just very encouraging. This is, my hometown, and so I appreciate y'all showing up for us. You got a little tune for us, Brandon?
Years, got a few friends I can trust. I got a couple more, baby, but we don't talk that much. I got a woman, thank God, she's the best I've ever seen. She keeps me rolling like an 18-wheel machine. I'm on a roll. Rolling on. Hey, America. See, I'm looking for a sign. Hey, America. Just a little sign of life. See, I'm an Indiana boy with a heart that won't sit still. Yeah, my cup is running over, but I still ain't got my fill. So won't you pray for me, Mary, that I keep my spirit right? Can you help me, Jesus, when I wanna give up this fight? 'Cause I'm on a roll, honey, I'm rolling, rolling on. Yeah, I'm on a roll. Hey, America, see, I'm looking for a sign. Hey, America, just a little sign of life. Hey, America, see, we've been living by faith, not by sight. We've been driving through the mountains in the middle of the night. There's this rain coming down, but I think I see your light. Hey, America, hey, America, hey, America.
Hey, thank you all so much. Visit us at the merch booth over there. Sign the bus if you're heading out there, and hopefully we'll see you down the road. Thanks, everybody.